Hey y'all, it's your captain for all things creative coming at you with the Love is Blind Season 9, 11 and 12 and reunion episode review. If you are new to this channel, welcome. Please like, share, and subscribe. And if you're returning, thank you so much for rocking with us. You know, it is about to be, the holidays, and it's good that this show's wrapping up because we all have our families and surviving to do. So I'll quickly go through episode 11 so, but most of this review is going to be about the reunion proper. So leading up to the reunion, episode 11, we see Joe and Madison break up because remember, down to the fit-in, Joe basically just like ran away. And I'm glad that he finally cut Madison loose, set her free. But I think it's the having relations that confused Madison because she kept bringing it up, talking about, you might have to start imagining me sleep with other people. Do you want to imagine that? He's like, no. She's like, well, yeah. Me thinking about you sleeping with other people is going to make me sick. It's like the physical interactions they had really messed with her mind because she wasn't able to see how much they was fighting and how much he wasn't into her because of it. So Joe's giving her mixed signals, but it's clear that Joe didn't like her all along. He couldn't help being nasty to her because of it. And I really think that they they need to really, really show, relationships like these to remind people that just because someone, is physical with you doesn't guarantee that you have their respect or even, true intimacy. And like Madison learned it the hard way, and hopefully people watching will, learn that there are, people that will, what they say, hit it and quit it, so you cannot hang all of your hopes up on, having a physical connection with someone when you got to really work and build on all the other aspects of compatibility, like, you know, actually having respect for the person, having shared values, being able to communicate well, all those things that Madison knows clearly wasn't there, but she's just all focused on the physical, and people need to stop doing that. Another couple that had a big hullabaloo or blow up was KB and Edmund. And this calling Edmund a bee, that was really the worst thing that happened leading up to the reunion. And really, that to me was the tell that confirmed all along how KB really felt about Edmund. She does not see him as her equal. She was constantly babying him and doing social work talk to him, and you could tell that she didn't really respect him as an equal because of the way she was talking out to him and babying him all the time. And when she used that B word, it did not surprise me, but it's very wrong. She did apologize for that, but again, Edmund is in a state of arrested development, and she should be aware of that as a social worker because she knows he went through foster care. She's watching it, and I just feel like it was more irresponsible of her to continue stringing Edmund along or having high expectations for this man who continues to show that he is not performing to the level of adult. He's climbing in cabinets in front of you. He's crying over coochie. Like, this is not somebody that you take seriously. You called him a bee, to show that you don't. So just end it. Like, it's exhausting watching KB act, talking about she want Edmund to shoot up the club. I was like, where? Stop. Please. Like, nobody's getting Emmys for this. So I'm just glad that, when we get to next episode, they say no at the altar because it's too much watching them too. As for, Ali and Anton, we see that apparently Ali and her sister had beef. And, basically, it seems like Ali was complaining about Anton to her mom because of things that Ali's mom was saying to Anton about, not to do too many things with his friends and leave Ali at home. It sounds like Ali was talking about that stuff that friend had told her about Anton going to strip clubs and stuff. So Allie does not want Anton, and it's coming out even in her relatives. Also, we see Sparkle and Megan and Jordan realizing more and more that they're not compatible because like they have fights literally about Jordan being tired when he comes home from work and not wanting to like talk to her or court her. And I think Megan to me definitely comes off as the less understanding one because literally Jordan has a job and a child. He told her all this. And Megan talk about jet setting and she don't even know if Jordan likes restaurants or not because he don't go to them and he's like, I have a child and a job and I'm tired. So at the end of the day, I don't think Jordan um to me is as much of the one who's flipping the script, so to speak, in this relationship as is Megan because she knew Jordan was simple and going to be very much preoccupied with his son and his blue collar job. Megan, who knows what she does, so she has ample free time. She jet setting, playing pickleball in the afternoon, going to brunch with her friends, and Jordan cannot do all that, and now she's, you know, putting pressure on him about things that he never said he could do. So it's clear that she really don't want that boring life. And calling herself Sparkle Megan, you knew she didn't want the boring life, so she's kind of playing herself and playing with him and her son. Sorry, him and his son. And I thought it was interesting that they went to that, like, I guess psychic or whatever in the beginning who said that they were soulmates, but I don't think they soulmates at all. I think again, Megan and her hang-ups over her dead father was putting all those feelings of grief and all the unresolved issues she had about it onto Jordan's son Luca. So the main focus of their connection was Luca rather than each other. And when they talk to each other, they know they don't have a lot in common. So it's just clear that it's not a very good foundation. So by wedding day, surprise, surprise, Sparkle Megan and Jordan don't even make it to the altar. And Jordan really was hurt. And the zinger was when he said he wished he did not introduce Meg to his child, which we'll get back to at the reunion. Also, wedding day, basically everybody said no, but the highlight for me was Edmund and his teacher. I, am an educator, just like knowing the level of sacrifice that teachers have for their kids, the love that teachers have for their kids. It was very palpable also through the screen. And even though Edmund was making velociraptor noises on the altar, I still felt for Edmund. Edmund had me crying, yo. And KB, I don't care what she say. I really think she's so wrong for dragging Edmund through all of this. I feel like even at the altar, she was doing her little baby and antics on Edmund and acting like she didn't know she was ever gonna, be this conflicted, and she's saying she got her answer in the conflict. Girl, stop. You did not want this man. You did not respect him. And we'll see at the reunion, she talks about Edmund manipulating her, but to me, anytime I see Edmund and KB, it looks like a parent manipulating a child. Like, Edmund is clearly not at the level of maturity and development and processing his feelings and handling his feelings that KB is. So it always just seems like KB is like talking down to him and either like telling him what to do and what to think or how to think through things. And even at the altar, she was, trying to shape his reaction. And it's always uncomfortable watching them for me. So on that note, let's talk reunion. So the first segment that was huge was Jordan, who we see here in his Tux and Sparkle Megan. Now, for me, there was way too many chicken smoothie jokes for my taste at the reunion. But at the end of the day, Megan had a lot to answer for. And Jordan, he was just kind of being even keel, cool, calm, and collected. And I thought he was the best dressed guy, so shout out to Jordan. So the main thing that happened during the Sparkle, Megan, and Jordan segment was all about kind of uncovering the feelings that Megan had, and also her tea that people kind of knew about from social media. So basically, Megan said that she was hurt when Jordan said that he regretted introducing her to his son, and she says she gets it, but she hopes he doesn't really mean, you know, the negativity towards her regarding that comment. And he confirms that, it wasn't exactly personal when he said it, but stability is important to his son because his son is so young. And I'm on Jordan's side with that. She played, and she was obsessing over that boy just to let both of them down. No. So then Jordan also says that he disagreed with Megan when she was crying out. She don't think she cut out to be a mom. He says he thinks she would be a great mom. And then Megan gonna go and announce that she had a baby, which people knew if you were following the social media gossip. And then she basically said that she had a baby with this man who was in the audience, some bald headed man. And she said that filming ended in April. They started dating in July, and she got knocked up 3 months into dating. And you didn't hear nothing about no wedding or engagement. But she said there's a lot of ups and downs in their relationship, and she kept everything a secret. So it's giving to me that that man trapped her with the baby. And maybe she wanted the baby too a little bit, but I don't think that situation might be as peachy keen. I think she's very happy with the baby. But again, just the fact that she said she kept everything secret, would have some secret baby shower with no phones, and she said that her and the man have a lot of ups and downs. It's not giving that that relationship is great, but the baby definitely, seems like a blessing to her. She's happy about it. But again, she's had this persona being sparkle, like you would think she'd want the big baby shower and a big wedding and all that if things was all peachy keen. But I don't know what's going on with her and that man. But I'm glad she got her baby. But I wouldn't be surprised if her and that man don't make it. Also, it comes out that Mike and Megan spun the block, I guess, for a little bit. They had a date or two, and Jordan said Mike took him out and told him, and I don't know, that seems like such a douchey thing to do. Like, hey, I got you, girl. Like, clearly they broke up from the show, so just the fact that Mike like rubs it into Jordan's face, I don't know. I don't like Mike that much. And they also called out Mike for his diabetes comments, basically. When he alluded that Jordan don't be feeding his kid well, that's why his kid got diabetes, and how he gonna feed his kids well. So then, they let Jordan basically expose Mike for being silly about not knowing the difference between type 1 and type 2 diabetes. But then Jordan, after, explaining it, still covered for Mike a little bit by saying that, Mike is sorry about it and he donated to some organization that fights diabetes. So basically, the last thing in that segment was it being confirmed that I guess Casey knew a lot of Meg's secret, but she held it in. And this is when Casey and Meg and Patrick come out. So this is how Patrick was looking. And I thought it was very messy of Netflix to make Patrick and Casey come out together because everybody else got to come out on their own to like some man playing music. I don't know what Netflix was doing for this reunion. It was so chaotic. They had like kind of like a full on mini concert while everybody got to come out by themselves, but then they made Patrick and Casey come out together, knowing that Patrick saw all the lies that Casey was telling. So it was comedy to me. And Patrick said, after seeing all Casey's lies, he was hurt about what Casey said and did. And then Casey tried her best to lie, but the castmates did not let her live, especially about keeping the ring. So this is how Casey was looking at the reunion. For me, Casey and Kate were best dressed. We'll get back to Kate, but Casey might have, just, she might have done better not coming on TV. Because again, nobody let her live. Oh my gosh. Patrick schooled Casey about, her not really apologizing to him properly. But then Casey kind of clapped back, was like, don't tell me what to do and how to feel because you said yourself that I was a distant second to you and you was making TikToks thinking you funny about me being a side chick, which is all true. But then Patrick basically said, nah, stop with the dramatics. You know how the pods work. Basically, day to day, people fall in love, and after I forgot if it's Anna or Annie, Anna left. Patrick says that him and Casey had 5 days to fall in love, which is a lot in pod time. So to be fair to him and the experiment, which he reminded her that they were in that type of experiment where things were heightened. Yes, he did fall in love with her after Anna left. So then Casey took it on the chin, apologized, and then she brought out the ring to give back to him. And it was funny because he did shade her about possibly needing the money. He was like, listen, money aside, do you think I deserve the ring on principle? And it was so funny because it's kind of like a little shade about her keeping it because she's broken. And she was like, I don't need the money. He's like, I definitely don't need the money. So she gave it back, talking about she felt like Smeagol keeping it. And then everybody applauded. But then Netflix got so random because they showed a package of like Patrick and Casey playing basketball or something. And then they bring out some old basketball player from the Clippers to judge their basketball skills, and they was having a shooting contest, and I was done. I was like, this is the most chaotic reunion ever because they literally did not need this man to come out. And thankfully, the timeline shifted back to sensical reality. The little basketball shooting contest with the Clipper man stopped. And then Casey went back to spilling her own tea. She admitted that she and Joe dated. And actually, Nick and Vanessa kind of prompted her to share who else she had connection with. And basically, Patrick seemed annoyed by it. Patrick was making some faces, but Madison definitely seemed disgusted by it. And let's get into Madison. So Madison was looking like this, and she said that she thought this was delusional to me, but she said she thought Casey got between her and Joe's engagement and marriage because basically she claims that sometime before they broke up, Joe met with Casey, and Casey was giving Joe googly eyes, and even Joe told her that Casey was giving him googly eyes, something like that. But then Joe was like, no, man, I was struggling with you for a while. And everybody could see that from since the honeymoon when they had that random fight about him waking up and all that comment about her weight. And basically, even Nick and Vanessa had Joe's side. I was like, no, he was struggling with the tuxedo fitting. Like, you are going too far. And I think that's Madison's problem. She gets in her own head about a lot of things, and she's aggressive about whatever her narrative is. She doesn't truly listen. She like over talks, and she has like these Karen tactics of like blaming people for everything. Like she even was trying to blame Joe for letting her tell his friends that she liked him. And I'm like, girl, you liked him. You said you liked him because you did. You have free will. Joe cannot control you. He cannot control the words that come out your mouth. Yes, maybe he shouldn't have given her mixed signals because I definitely think Joe's guilty of the mixed signals thing. But Madison also needs to take accountability for ignoring the signs. And with Joe, apparently, like, they had some kind of breakup conversation with Clarity, and Joe still made out with her after. So, again, Joe definitely gives her mixed signals, but Madison be jumping over all the obstacles and red flags, and it's very sad that she's also so quick to blame Casey. She don't seem like a girl's girl at all because I think Casey's problematic, but Casey was not the problem. Joe never liked her. And the fact that she was so willing to, you know, attack Casey, because she even brought up how Casey, I guess, said that her and Madison, this is offensive, but this is what Madison said. She said that Casey said that she called her Eskimo sister or something, which again is derogatory and offensive and just disgusting. And putting Casey on Front Street like that shows me that Madison definitely was out for blood. She's still looking to hurt somebody because she was hurt. So this is how Joe was looking with that creepy mustache. Oh my gosh. And basically, he kept getting slammed and not really standing up for himself because he know he was wrong. He know he toxic, but Madison basically ends her and Joe's segment by slamming Joe for talking about her body in a negative way in the first place. And he then said that he didn't really mean to body shame her because all they ever did was fight and have relations. So he didn't really have an issue with her body, but he did mention, that he had that 5 minute conversation with her about preferring petite women, but he also had that conversation to producer. So it did come up in the show, and it was clear that he did not feel that attraction to Madison because he kept talking about not being able to, place her voice to what he saw, and he was very dismissive of her the whole time. Like, he did not like her ever, but he claims it's not strictly because she wasn't his type, because he did attempt again to, be physical with her multiple times, but they also didn't have chemistry or good foundation. So next is Nick versus Kate. So this was Nick. He looked like he was selling Bibles. I'm sorry. Something about his definitely comes off like he's not being himself authentically, but really, Nick, at least he owned it. I'm gaining more and more respect for Nick the more I see him, and he admitted that, he used his faith or his religion to try to control the situation in the pods in terms of dumping Kate about, her not believing in God and all that. And he said when he saw himself, he was disgusted by what he did, and he's working on himself. And I think what he said was a bar, because a lot of people do use God to manipulate others and for all manner of evil or selfishness, and at least he was honest about it. And again, I feel like Nick's honesty is shining through, but Kate would not get her foot off of Nick's neck. This is how Kate was looking. And I did kind of like her look. She looked better sitting down. So that's why I would say maybe Casey was best dressed, because Casey looked nice standing up and sitting down. But I thought Kate did look the best sitting down. Kate kept reading Nick about her thinking that he didn't really want marriage, but instead wanted an audience. But then Annie chimed in and was defending Nick from Kate. And y'all, this is how Annie looked. And he looked way better. Her hair is still a little thick, but at least it was flat ironed. And it seemed like she did some to her face. I think she got filler or something, because she almost didn't look like herself. I don't know if she detoxed or got filler, but she definitely straightened her hair. She might have been maybe the third best dressed to me, but something about her face, she did something. But her hair looked way better than it did all season. But Annie kept standing up for Nick. She stood up for Nick twice. She defended Nick in terms of like the pods, because she said a lot of people, were feeling a lot of emotions in the pod and things went fast. So she's not gonna blame Nick for moving fast, because everybody was moving fast to date and get engaged in like what, a week or two. And then she also said that she, looking back, knows that she also was trying to force the relationship the whole time, and maybe it was the part in her that wanted to stick to the process and see everything through. But I like how Nick had you know told Annie, hey, you don't have to have my back, and Annie was like, nah, I'm gonna. And apparently her and Nick are cordial. They speak and they're cool, and I liked their relationship because basically Nick and Vanessa then kind of asked her, who was she texting during, her and Nick's breakup. She said she was texting her friend because her friend was trying to, I guess, fly in or something. So then she was telling her friend, don't bother because it looked like we about to break up. And then they asked Annie also if she felt like she made a mistake choosing Nick over Brett. And she said she did not feel like she made a mistake. So again, she kept having Nick's back. And then to wrap up the Nick, Annie, Kate drama, they asked Nick how he felt about Joe roasting him, and Nick said it was a little weird because he had just been texting Joe, and then Joe said he felt bad because, yeah, he didn't like how he looked, because he did look like a bully, but Joe kept it real and said basically he's better friends with Brendan, so it is what it is. And Nick agreed that in the pods he wasn't open with the other guys or forthcoming in like a friendship kind of way because he wanted to keep his cards close to his chest. So it made sense that the guys didn't really like him. And then Kate admitted she went on a date with Brendan, but then Kate said that she thought that Brendan and Casey looked too friendly at the party. So Casey then caught another stray, and I think again it's more Madison and Casey ganging up. Sorry, Madison and Kate ganging up on Casey. And Kate, she just keeps giving bitter the way she was going after Nick the whole time. And I'm glad Annie had Nick back. And it seems again that Annie might be in a better place. And I'm glad that, she does not come across as like bitter or anything. She's made peace with everything. Whereas Madison and Kate were definitely seeming like they're not over everything and they banded together in bitterness, kind of. So, next segment, Anton and Allie. Oh my gosh. Anton basically gave his reaction to finding out that his friend's girlfriend threw him under the bus about the strip clubs. And he said that was nasty work, and I agree with it because he said basically that girl didn't know him from Adam. They probably met like once or twice. So it's given, like I thought, that girl was unhappy with her boyfriend and her boyfriend was lying to her about Anton like forcing him to go to strip clubs and whatnot. So he did not like that, and he said that it affected Allie that much. And then Allie basically says she never talked to Anton about to get his side after the fact, which made me feel like she didn't like Anton even more because why wouldn't she bring it up to him? It seems like she's making a list of all the things she didn't like about him and reasons to give for why she said no. And basically Allie's reunion look was also okay. This is Allie's reunion look, and she's definitely, given like she does do plastic surgery and all that stuff. She looks gorgeous. I would say she's like also in the top 5 of the best dressed, but it's not giving natural at all. She definitely looking more and more plastic, especially at the reunion. She has they call it iPhone face. And then they basically said that the conversations was dry and that the person that she met in the past was not the person in real life. And even at the end of the video, they showed a clip of Anton sitting on the swing, not really saying anything to her to kind of confirm what she was saying. But I do think that Allie and her friends did come across as gold diggerish, and they asked Anton about how he felt when he heard the friends making comments about him being a truck driver and Allie being a woman of her caliber stooping down to his little truck driver level. It was all in poor taste, and Anton said he did not appreciate what them friends had said about him, especially because they don't know how he is about him and his finances. And then that segment ends with Anton saying that he have a new girlfriend and she was in the crowd. And then when they asked Allie about if she got a man, she very hush hush. It's like she'd rather not talk about it, which means that she is probably looking for her next sponsor. And last but not least, KB and Edmund. Ay, ay, ay. So, KB and Edmund. I hate watching their scenes, even in the reunion, because at the end of the day, it always looks like an adult talking to a kid. Because Edmund is definitely in a state of arrested development. Even look at him. Look at his smile in this picture. It looks like a little child at his 5th grade picture. Like, at school. Like, I cannot watch KB talk circles around him and try to have these debates with him when she knows that it's not gonna go nowhere, right? This was KB's look, and basically she had notes in her bra, so part of her outfit was strategic so she could just reach in there and get her notes of all the grievances she had against Edmund. And oh my gosh, she basically tries to say that Edmund made her look like an angry black woman. And again, it gave to me that she was always concerned about how she looked on camera. She was curating an image that she wanted to portray, and she was getting upset with Edmund more so when he was disrupting that image more so than connect with him as a person that she respected. And I'm sorry, KB. He just was fighting a losing battle. I don't know why you came with that paper to Edmund thinking some conversation or some confrontation would be fruitful, because it just fell flat because Edmund is a child and everybody knows that. A lot of people were literally laughing at KB trying to talk to Edmund because Edmund was like, I don't know. I'm just trying to be me. Like, it was just too much. KB is going to sit there with her paper out talking about right before they were moving into the apartment and before she saw him climb into the cabinet. Some neighbor was saying that Edmund was being obnoxious. And KB said she told Edmund that he was being obnoxious and he started crying. And then he was like, well, I don't know if it happened that way. And then KB's like, are you serious? Are you acting like this never happened? So I'm crazy with her. And it was just so stupid. It's like everything that you're saying is null and void because you saw him climb into a cabinet. He's a child. Stop it. Like, again, I can't take any of this seriously, especially because KB is a social worker. This man is clearly in a state of arrested development. She knows what foster kids go through. She sees in 4K every day that Edmund is basically in the state of arrested development, and she's still trying to save her image and go toe to toe with him. And at the end of the day, the only thing I could buy that KB said was that in the pods, she could not see his body language. And I know she did not see him kissing the floor and all that stuff. So she just liked his personality in the pods, and that's why she said yes. I will give KB that all day 100%. But once you saw him again, Naruto running afro picking his head, licking cups, climbing in cabinets, crying over Coochie, you had so many chances to just be honest, put this man out of his misery, admit that you never saw him as equal, but instead you decided to play the PR games, go for whatever Netflix contract you want. I hope you get it, because as a social worker, I really don't see how any of this was authentic after the pods for you. And also the fact that you called him a B showed how you truly felt about that man, and that was wrong. And I'm glad you apologized again for calling him that word. And I probably won't be surprised if we see her on like The Perfect Match or one of those Netflix shows. I think that's what KB came for. But yeah, I can't co-sign the relationship or get behind it. So all in all, the reunion was a chaos. It was chaos, mayhem, confusion. Nobody should have got married. Like, to be honest, this was the way the season should have ended. They should not have wasted time on that basketball game or whatever. I don't know why they basically ended the reunion celebrating Jordan's birthday, and they brought Blake out, but they never talked to Blake. Blake should have answered for his crimes. Like, he apparently did go out with Megan and apologize to her privately for ghosting her, but all they that was Blake at the end, right? Like, honestly, I just I don't understand what the producers were thinking with a lot of the choices, especially again that basketball man, and then bringing out what I think was Blake at the end without talking to him and letting him have a chance to, like, again, apologize to people in public or like explain why he left. None of that. Like, it was very odd, and it was an odd season, odd cast all around. Say how you felt about this season, or you did in the comments. And I'm gonna start the new season of Married at First Sight, and hopefully get the Severance videos up. I'm either gonna just start reviewing when the new season comes out, or if I can get my buddies on the line, I'll do, some overview of like season 1 and 2. But if things don't work out with timing, I'm just probably gonna just jump into the new season and start reviewing Severance. But I promise that it's also down the pike. I'm gonna have some anime reviews also. So for now, just Make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe, and remember, you're the master of your fate and the captain of your soul. Bye.